today on the Prosperity Nation podcast.
I find a way, or I don't, and I'm like, I guess I didn't want it that bad. But then I don't pity myself and sit in it that I didn't accomplish my goals. I don't think any lesser of myself just because I didn't. I realized it changed. Something in my life changed to make me go in a different path, and that is okay too. You clearly didn't do about it like in the 80 plus years you are living. And move on.
What if you can't though? Okay, so I hear you. But it's hard to let go of a dream. I guess that's the attachment. Like if you're attached to a dream that you didn't do, then you're going to be disappointed, right? Mm-hmm. So it's that being attached to it and not.
Yeah. Then stop being attached to it because but that's the thing. It's like for me with the whole music industry, it's like, yeah, that would be amazing and I would have loved that, but am I sitting here upset that I didn't do it? No, because I at my age still did not do what I needed to do in my probably 2015 adult years of making sure I could do that. Like I didn't put myself in that position, so I'm not going to sit here and pity myself about the fact that I didn't do it and I'm not doing it. I just said, look, that was a dream I gave up on and that's fine. I changed it. That's fine. I don't know. Anyway, that's what I was thinking about last night.
Well, hey, look. Welcome to the Prosperity Nation podcast, the show where we inspire you to not give up on your dreams and not let money get in the way of doing them. Because we want you to live a life you love without any excuses. So I'm Angie Grainger, and this is my co-host, Elise Eropkin.
Hi.
And hey, Elise, and obviously Elise is fired up on this topic. We got to pick it back up this week on why aren't you accomplishing your dreams?
Yeah.
Right? And I just wanted to come right in the middle of this conversation we were having off scene here and bring it right in because why not? Right?
Let's do it.
Well, as a reminder, because I have to remind myself this all the time, prosperity is flourishing personally and financially. So our question we keep running into is, what if you're not? And what if you feel like you're too old to?
Yeah.
Or what if you feel like you weren't dealt the right cards and you're never going to be able to prosper or flourish financially? And we got to challenge that because that, again, is an excuse. And that's what Lisa's all fired up today about having excuses for not doing what you say you want to do in life, right?
Yeah. Well, I guess you could call it an excuse, but I was thinking about this more since we talked about this last. And yeah, I just, it's probably not the popular thing to say, but I just feel like if you want something that badly that you're thinking about it on your deathbed, then you should have gotten off your butt and done something about it. Or change it. Like instead of laying there on your deathbed, pitying yourself and being the victim that you didn't fulfill your dreams, it's like, I don't know.
Hey, that's a good point. So, all right, let's say you're not on your deathbed, but let's say you're getting close to retirement.
All right.
Or in our case, maybe we've been trying, let's just use an example. We've been trying to build, a large company and we want to build it for 5 years. I'm going to make this up now. We want to build it for 5 or 10 years and then we want to cash out and we want to go live our life on the beach or whatever. Or we want to just hit the goal of, hey, man, we cashed out at 7 figures. Yeah. Great, right? But what if we don't do that? Are we going to keep trying year after year, year after year, year after year, year after year, year after year? Economy crashes, clients leave, whatever. Let's say we just totally failed at it, but we still wanted it. So do we keep trying and trying and trying? And now all of a sudden we're so tired of trying and we never actually made it. Then what?
Well, that is a great point. I think you either decide at that point if you do want to keep trying, if that's still the goal that you really want to push for, or you figure out what a new goal is that maybe might be a little more achievable or realistic, and then be okay with that changing. Because that's the thing.
Yeah.
If you're not going to go towards the goal that you originally had, and you're not going to try to make that work for whatever reason, and you don't find a new goal, then I don't feel like you also have the clout. I don't have clout, but to then complain and feel sorry for yourself about not achieving your goals.
Yeah. Hey, I get it. I have to push back, and I also agree, because I look at, sometimes I get grandiose goals. Like, I want to be a best-selling author, right? And, well, what is that? What is that? That's a best-selling author, not the best writing author. So that means I really would need to have a whole business plan on how to sell to become a best-selling author, right? But I don't do that because I got other businesses or other things that I'm doing. And so, but then that keeps coming up. And what happens is that if I don't do it, or if I attempt it and fail, then I feel like a failure on it. And I don't want to give up on the goal because I don't want to feel like a failure. So then I want to keep trying, but I'm not doing the right things that are actually going to get me there. And so I'm like doing these efforts, but they're going in the wrong direction,
Yeah. Well, that's another great point too, because like you said, a best-selling author. I mean, I've read some that are best-selling and they're horrible. Like, I mean, I'm not even a literature person, but like, you don't have to be a great writer to be a best-selling writer. So then are you compromising your ideals and what you're writing just to sell a lot of books? Like, that's probably not what you want either. So I think it's really about, kind of like we've talked about a lot, nailing down what exactly that dream is.
Exactly.
Because if you don't have that clear and really specific, then you're probably, like, the chances of achieving it are probably not going to be that great because you don't actually even know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Or you think but it's a goal somebody else gave you. It's like you come to America, you want to buy a house with a picket fence, right? Or you're a writer, so you want to be a best-selling author. Who gave you that goal? Right. That's not, who decided that that's the target I should be shooting for? Why did I take that on, or why does somebody take that on when, there are pros and cons for owning a house with a white picket fence, and there are pros and cons for running marathons, and there are pros and cons for these goals that we set. And I agree. I think it comes back to what is the actual goal, and did you make it up because that's what you heard you should do? Or did you take the time to actually find out why you want that? And what are you going to actually do that you can do, or I can do, or you can do?
Yeah, because I think, I think this is what brought up this whole conversation, is if it's actually something that you truly, genuinely, honestly, seriously want, then your goal, you will move mountains to get there. You will.
Yeah.
And if you're not there and you haven't done that, and it's been 10, 20, 30 years, then, I mean, I hate saying it in these words, but I think you either you need to give up and move on, or revise the goal, because it's clearly not something you want that badly. So it's time to rethink what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then stop hitting yourself for not reaching it.
I know. And you know what happens to me? I don't know if this happens to you, but this happens to me, is that I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this goal. I've got it all mapped out. I'm going to do it. And then I'm like, oh, well, maybe it's too big of a goal. Maybe I should give up on it. Wait a minute. If I really think through it, do I really want to go out and do X, Y, and Z to make that goal? And then it throws me into this doubt condition, right? Then that's almost worse. Because I'd rather be confident on the goal and fail at the goal than swim in doubt all the time and not make any decisions. No.
Well, and that's kind of like how I was, because, we've talked about this again before, but I wanted to work in the music industry for a really long time when I was younger. And, I didn't do much. It was just this dream I've always had. I interviewed for an internship back when I was 18, I think, or 19. That was probably the farthest I got. And as cool as that would be, as much of a dream it maybe still is, I've done absolutely nothing in the last 15 years to move towards that goal. So at this point, it's like, you know what, that would be fun, that would be cool, but that's no longer a goal of mine, because I didn't give up on it in that sense, because I feel like that's such a negative viewpoint, but I've changed my goals and now I have new goals, because I clearly didn't want it that bad. I don't even live in LA.
What goal do you want really bad?
Right now, now it's my CPA license.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I got.
That's all you got?
That's all I got.
You can have mine. Can I sell you mine? Right? No, I guess that wouldn't be ethical.
I have other goals, but just, let's say professionally speaking, that's my current goal. And so, I'm trying to figure out in the middle of all the work that I have and all this other stuff, how to still get that done. And you do figure it out. You make the time. I know firsthand, you know.
Sean is so quiet back there. He's like, I don't know if I should jump in and say, yay, Angie team or yay, Elise team on this one. I think we're just kind of like,
well, maybe I can try and strike a sweet spot in the middle. Okay, because I totally hear you. I think I really hear what you guys are both saying. Tell me if I'm wrong, but what I'm hearing you say, Elise, is that it's really important for you to have an honest assessment of what's actually possible and what's actually realistic, and put your goals into like that framework. Like there's no point in having some like lofty thing that's impossible that you're never going to get to and putting your hope in it, because then that's just going to make you feel defeated. But at the same time, like it is important to have a goal, because you're saying you should just be able to do it. Like just put your effort into the thing that's actually important to you. But I think the thing I'm hearing that's before that is like that realistic assessment of life and what you can do and what's possible.
I don't think
in that sense.
I don't know about that, because I still think you can have lofty goals. Like even me running a marathon, that to me was a lofty goal, but I still figured it out because I really wanted to do that. I think for me, it's more of like, what is the reasoning behind why you want the goal? Because
how strong is that desire?
How strong is the desire? Because that's going to push you to do the unthinkable to reach it. Yeah. You know? And that like that's kind of where I'm coming from. So maybe, like you said, Angie, the desire's not that strong if you're not doing what you need to do to get there, or taking the step.
Or sacrificing something else to be able to actually free up your time or free up your money or whatnot. And and to your point, Sean, I think what makes it seem too pie in the sky or too lofty is when it doesn't have that strong drive behind it. What Elise was talking about, because we can have big goals, and we can, but you're going to have to fight for those goals. And you better have enough oomph in you to do that.
Yeah, and I don't want anyone thinking I'm like not for having big goals, because I absolutely am. I want people to have big goals, but then go do them.
Right. And when I said realistic, I mean that like realistic with yourself, and in that sense of desire, like realistic in terms of what is it that actually you are really wanting here. Like be real with that, and don't be afraid of that. Like be honest about it, you know, that honest assessment. I guess I can hear how realistic could sound, like, you know, I'll make your dream small enough that you can do it today. That's not 100% what I mean. Like, yes, I think there's a good thing about making them, you know, small steps is great. But at the same time, I think that realistic assessment of what do I actually want, and what is actually, you know, my strongest desire, like you're saying, and actually being willing to be honest about that, and then restructure my life if I need to around that, and put some things aside if I have to too, you know?
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, the difference between a goal or a vision, well, actually I should say like a dream or a vision and a goal, is that in a dream or in a vision, it's so big or it's so far down the line that you can't actually see the steps that you're going to get there. Like you can take a few steps, but then they fade off into like a lighthouse, you know, and you're like pointing toward the light. But a goal, actually, you can see. It's right here, and I can do these things, and I can achieve that goal. So there's goals along those dreams, you know, and you can't see them all. You have to take some steps and, you know, get some milestones and then figure it out. And I think maybe that's part of what we're talking about here is maybe we spend 10 and 20 years or decades in our lifetime hitting those targets, but maybe we've only defined those targets. And so we don't have that satisfaction that we actually did what we wanted to do, because all we were doing is shooting for those targets and achieving them, but there was no satisfaction there. Or maybe that was an indicator that those weren't really the right goals. Yeah. Because there's no satisfaction that comes from that empty goal. Like you get the goal and you're like, okay, I got a house.
Yeah, well, because it wasn't important to you. You didn't really care. So I'm like, okay, fine. I did that. Check done. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, and this is what we talk about all the time. It's like finding that inspired idea and that thing that makes you come alive. Because if it brings life to you when you achieve it, and I'm not talking about that short-term life of like, yay, I did that. But like that deep satisfaction of I just overcame something challenging and I worked hard at it and now I've achieved that and that feels really good. You know, it's that, but you got to confront that. And that's what I know what both you guys said. It's like if you don't take the time to like really listen to what it is that's going to bring you that, then you are going to keep chasing other people's goals. Yeah. And then even if you do achieve those goals, how happy are you going to actually be? Yeah. And I know we've talked about I think we have an episode last season about how to achieve goals, because, goals, or visions, even if they're really grandiose, they can seem hard to achieve. But that's why it's important. We've talked about breaking them down into mini goals that all lead up to the goal. But so it's not just, I guess my point is, for every failure of a goal isn't always because you don't want it. Maybe you don't know how to achieve it. And I understand there's that. But I do also believe you'd find the way to do it. Like, you'd figure it out. You'd use resources on how to achieve the goal. Ask for help. I don't know. But I just know from my personal experience, when I set a goal or want to achieve something,
you find a way.
I find a way, or I don't, and I'm like, I guess I didn't want it that bad. But then I don't pity myself and sit in it that I didn't accomplish my goals. I don't think any lesser of myself just because I didn't. I realized it changed. Something in my life changed to make me go in a different path, and that is okay too.
Yeah, I know that for me, sometimes I have some goals, and then I work really hard at them, and then they do fail. I have failed several times in big goals I was working toward. And you kind of know if it's the right goal for you if that thing won't shut up. If that thing is still nagging at you, and you got to do it again, and then you fail it again, and then you're like, okay, I'm never going to do that again. And then 6 months later, it's like, hello, you better get on this. You can't just abandon this so quickly. And I know I have some goals that have been driving in me for decades, whether I achieve them or I don't achieve them. And I do have a lot of peace in that, because I know as long as I'm working toward it and I never achieve it, at least I know I stayed on the path, because that's all maybe I can have control over, whether I'm staying on the path toward that goal or not. Because if I give up on it and quit because it's, too hard, or there's too much burden, or too much in the way, or I'll never have this, or whatever my excuses are, then if I don't overcome that, then how am I going to ever get there? But if I quit and go do something else, that's what feels like giving up. Because now I'm like, I'm never going to be able to make that goal. Why should I try anymore? Let me just go and do something totally different.
Yeah, I mean, I do think there's something to be also said about those people who do just kind of like have a goal, try kind of slightly, but then they just keep moving on. So they're like always... It's like every time you talk to them, they're doing something totally different. They have a new business idea. It's like, and they're so...
Gives you whiplash a little bit.
Yeah, and it's like...
I can't keep up.
What are you doing now? And it's so non sequitur either. It's not even like they're staying in the same industry, like, of a idea of what they want to do. It's like, I'm doing this with cars. Next thing you know, they're like in an animal shelter, and then they're like making clothing. It's like, wait, what?
Yes, I know.
What? So it's like,
I feel like that sometimes, believe me.
I don't think that. But so I guess there's also something to be said about those people who, well, maybe not. It kind of goes back to the same core we're talking about.
It does.
None of that is really the stuff they want to do.
And I think that comes down to a very deep sense of trusting yourself.
Yeah.
Or not. Do you have the courage to trust yourself? Because I think that's what happens when you start to really listen to what it is that's important to you, and then the world tells you, what, are you crazy?
Yeah.
Or that's a dumb idea, or whatever the world gives you that feedback, and then you just shut it down.
You do something that's more acceptable or popular or whatever.
Right. Yeah. So if you're like, I want to do cooking. I'll never make money cooking. I love doing clothes making. I'll never win the competition on that. Or whatever the thing is that gets you to quit it, it's because I think there's that deep not trusting yourself, that you want this.
Or a lack of approval from others. Maybe you're afraid of what other people think.
Right, external, right, external, yeah. But this is why, like, step one of being able to actually have financial freedom, like financial freedom actually is the freedom of you taking actions toward a life that you actually really love. And it's like set, fund, and achieve, that we talk about before. You got to set those heartfelt goals, and you got to align your money into them, and then you got to take the action to do it. And if you're doing that, you have financial freedom. And it doesn't matter how much money you have or you don't have. You're free from finances being the burden on you and on your happiness. That's what financial freedom is.
Yeah.
And so being able to recognize that the very first step in all of that, or if you've started and stopped and you're on the path and you fall off the path, start with looking at, let's see, what are the goals that I'm setting? How meaningful are they to me? How much do I really care, and why do I care? You know, it could be material things, but it's usually not. You know, the material things are the things that cost the money and stuff, but then what? They cost more money to maintain, you know? But if you look, like right now, this year has been amazing for me because it hasn't been about buying a bunch of material things. In fact, I sold all my houses before I did all this. And now what's more important to me is that I have time for studying. I have freedom to be able to show up at my mom's house or my kids' house or walk their dogs or babe dog sit for them, and also have my place where I can walk to the beach or I can walk downtown. So it's like the lifestyle freedom is way more important to me than achieving those goals. And this is where I make that mistake, what you said when we started talking about this. It's, well, then why isn't that your goal, to have lifestyle freedom? Yeah. I'm living it. I said this the other day. I'm like, I got to stop writing down these things about what's my ideal life and all this. I said, because it's making me depressed, feeling like I don't know what my ideal life is when I'm actually freaking already living it. When you're not living it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it can, because it's like, oh, well, even for me, I'm like, what's my purpose? I'm like, wait, well, why can't this be my purpose? Like, why does it have to be something else? And I think we have an idea that these goals and dreams and visions and purposes and blah, blah, blah have to be these crazy, extravagant, over the top, like change the world things, but they don't. They just have to be meaningful to you, whatever that is. It could be as small as whatever. I don't even know. I'm not even going to say anything because I don't want to invalidate anyone that might have anything.
Yeah.
And it could be small. It could be large. It doesn't matter, because you're the only one that matters. So what's real to you is what's real. And that's as good as it needs to be.
Right. I tell you, lately, it's been... I think this stuff has been...
Sorry, Riggs is trying to chime in.
Come on, Riggs.
I don't know why he's barking still.
He wants your attention. See,
he's
things like your dog is more important. Yeah, like, that's true.
Anyway, but...
So, you know, I know this has been on my heart a lot lately because, you know, there's some things outside of work that have been really getting me to think about the state of our level of sanity in the world, and insanity, and healthy communications, healthy relationships, healthy getting along as people. And, you know, I was talking to one of my family members the other day, and it just blurted out of me. It's like, yeah, I was a teenage drug addict with 2 kids, and, you know, then it turned violent and it was horrible. And then when I got clean and I got out of violence, and I made this like life decision of never, never, never violence ever, ever again. And then no more drugs, nothing. It's like, I got to live fully. And I just made that life decision. But I had such vigor because I'm like, if I don't do this, my kids will never see there's another way.
Wow.
They will only see the craziness of addiction and all of the sick patterns, you know, mental patterns I was insane in as a drug addict, coming to the end of using, which is a very, very desperate place when you don't want to use anymore and then you keep using for years. Like, it really kills your soul, you know? Talk about do something about it. Well, it's hard to do something about it. But at some point I did do something about it, you know? But my point is that there is something that's becoming very important to me personally about being able to talk about going from an insane situation to a sane situation, or an addicted family, or violent family, or an unhealthy family, or toxic relationships, or whatever that, to actually getting out and actually transforming the way you think about things and the way your heart is about things, and creating a successful, sane, happy, joyful life coming from that darkness. There's something that's just become so important to me about that. And I put that journey of my own in a box for the last decade or 2. And lately it's becoming more and more important to bring that out and to talk about that and help understand the importance of having that ability to have real peace in your mind. Like, really, when you go to bed at night and it's quiet, you know, and your heart is warm and you're not like spinning in your head and your heart hurts and you're, upset in all your relationships. And anyway, that's a little bit of a side tangent, but the point is, what if that was my only purpose? Mm-hmm. And that's all it is. I don't need to build big businesses, or I don't need to go build a bunch of real estate portfolios or anything. But what if I created a pathway of going from that insanity to sanity? Is that enough? And you know what? Right now, it's becoming, it's way more than enough. And I need to talk more about it and help people know it's possible for them and come out of that. So that was a lot I said, but it's kind of been real for me lately.
Yeah, I think that's awesome, though. Because like you said, that might be it. And so why do we keep searching for more or better, air quotes, Why can't that be good enough?
Yeah. And if I died if I was on my deathbed and tomorrow was my last day, I'd feel pretty damn proud of my life. Yeah. Did I achieve all my goals? No. But you know what? I'm a good person, and people like me, which is not all people like me, but I'm likable.
Yeah,
I have family that I love.
I think you are.
Oh, thank you. So anyway, the goals that don't cost money are the things you take with you when you die, and the things that do cost money are not going with you when you die. Mm-hmm. So you gotta. It's having that sense of appreciation for that every day. Whether you're, going to die tomorrow or you're going to die in 80 years from now.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thanks for bringing up that topic, Elise.
I was going to say also, on the topic of the set, fund, and achieve, if people do want to check out those episodes, there's episode 6, episode 7, and episode 8 of the Prosperity Nation podcast. So check it out online and engage with that. It's amazing. It's a great series.
Thank you for that reminder. Yes, that's what we do here. Everything is aligned with set, fund, and achieve. So thanks for that reminder, Sean. Well, we want to hear from you. How can people share their stories with us and what's important in their goals?
Well, they should follow us on social media, The Prosperity Nation. They should like and subscribe to our podcast. And they can also email us at stories@prosperitynation.com. They can share their stories if they agree or disagree with us, whatever they like.
Right. We're all a community here. We're all humans just trying to figure this out, and if we can get a little bit of happiness or lightness in people's lives because we can look up instead of looking down, then great, we have something to head for.
Exactly.
All right. Well, that's all for now. We'll see you next time.
See ya.
Thanks for joining us today. Like and subscribe to videos from us on YouTube. Follow us online for the latest episodes, updates, and more. And invite others to join us at prosperitynation.com. That's it for now. We'll see you next time on the Prosperity Nation podcast.